Hariom students, welcome to today's online session. Topic is heat part 2. Topics to be covered in this lesson: thermometer and types of thermometer, reading temperature from a thermometer, and difference between clinical and laboratory thermometers. Objectives: at the end of this lesson you will be able to learn types of thermometers and you will be able to reading from clinical thermometer and laboratory thermometer and difference between clinical thermometer and laboratory thermometer. And first we have to discuss about what is thermometers. Do you know, have you seen a thermometer? Have you seen a thermometer? The thermometer, you have to recall that when you are someone else in your family, you and your father, mother and your relatives, the temperature, family had fever, the temperature was measured by the thermometer. So the temperature was measured by the thermometer, and the thermometer measures our body temperature is called a clinical thermometer. Let us discuss about what is thermometer and what are the types of thermometer. What is thermometer? Thermometer, it is the instrument used for measuring the temperature, is called a thermometer. What are the two types of thermometer? Clinical thermometer and laboratory thermometer. What is the clinical thermometer? Clinical thermometer, so you know that clinical thermometer, so that clinical thermometer is the measure our body temperature. So which one is measure our body temperature is called a clinical thermometer. The clinical thermometer, let us discuss about the clinical thermometer and laboratory thermometer. So these are the two types of thermometers. In first one is the clinical thermometer and second one is the laboratory thermometer. In clinical thermometer, so what is the clinical thermometer? It is a long, narrow and uniform glass tube. So it is a long, narrow and uniform glass tube. One end the bulb at one end and the another end, the one end outside the bulb, and a thread of mercury can be in the other side. So I mean in one side the bulb, outside the bulb, and small shining thread. So this is the small shining thread of mercury. So this is, it can be used to measure the temperature. So which measure the temperature? The body temperature, our measure our body temperature is called a clinical thermometer. The clinical thermometer that measures our body temperature is known as the clinical thermometer. So when we have to measure the temperature, if someone else in your family had fever, so we have to, the temperature was measured by a thermometer. That thermometer we have to call that clinical thermometer. In clinical thermometer, it is a glass tube and one end is bulb, a bulb at one end, and this bulb contain this bulb contain the mercury. This bulb is contain the mercury. And what is the next one? Laboratory thermometer. So in clinical thermometer we measure the temperature of animals and humans. And what about the laboratory thermometer? So, and also this clinical thermometer, it is a long, narrow glass tube. It has bulb at one end and filled with mercury. The clinical thermometer reads the temperature from 95 degrees Fahrenheit to 107.6 degrees Fahrenheit, and the normal temperature of human body is 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. And also the clinical thermometer is also known as doctor's thermometer. So why it is a doctor's thermometer? To measure the temperature to the patients and who had fever, like that. So doctors measure the temperature to the humans, so that only you have to call that doctor's thermometer. And so next one is the laboratory thermometer. Laboratory thermometer is used to measure the temperature in the science laboratory. So this laboratory thermometer measure the science laboratory. In chemical applications, in chemical process, we have to use the laboratory thermometer. Let us discuss the reading temperature of clinical thermometer and laboratory thermometer. Next, reading temperature from a clinical thermometer and reading temperature from a laboratory thermometer. Reading temperature from a clinical thermometer. So what we have to take the precautions? What we have to take the precautions in the clinical thermometer? When you reading the temperature from a clinical thermometer, we have to take some precautions. So what are the precautions? See this figure, antiseptic solution. What is the antiseptic solution? And so the thermometer should be washed before. This thermometer should be washed before, and other use preferably and with an antiseptic solution. This is antiseptic solution. Ensure the mercury level. So this is the mercury level. Ensure the mercury level is below 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Ensure the mercury level in below 95 degrees Fahrenheit, and read the temperature keeping the level of mercury along the line straight, and handle the thermometer with carefully. So this is the precautions of the reading temperature from a clinical thermometer. What about that laboratory thermometer? The reading temperature from a laboratory thermometer, here what we have to take? So we have to heat the hot water. Now we have to measure the temperature. So how do we have to heat the hot water? We have to apply some heat in that water, so the water will be heated. Now what we have to do? So we have to measure the temperature. You have to read the reading temperature from a laboratory thermometer. So we have to dip that laboratory thermometer in that water. The temperature will be increases. For example, here we have to take that cool water. We have to dip that laboratory thermometer. The temperature will be decreases. So when the hot water, the temperature will be increases, and cold water, the temperature will be decreases. So like that we have to measure the temperatures in the we have to use the temperature. We have to use the laboratory thermometer to measure the hotness of an water and coldness of an water, or any chemical applications and chemical process in the science laboratory. So this is the reading temperature from a clinical thermometer and reading temperature from a laboratory thermometer. We have to take the readings to measure the temperatures in the clinical thermometer by doctor's thermometer. We have to call that doctor's thermometer to measure only animals and humans temperature, but in laboratory thermometer to measure the science laboratory, and it is also known as laboratory thermometer. And once again, so what is the range of laboratory thermometer? And it is the same as similarities between the clinical thermometer only. Here the laboratory thermometer reads from minus 10 degrees Celsius to plus 110 degrees Celsius. So that is the temperature. The laboratory thermometer reads the temperature between minus 10 degrees Celsius to plus 110 degrees Celsius. Let us define the difference between clinical thermometer and laboratory thermometer. Now only we have to measure that what is the clinical thermometer and what is the laboratory thermometer, and what is the reading temperature, measure a temperature and reading from a laboratory thermometer. Now we have to discuss about the difference between clinical thermometer and laboratory thermometer. In this, the clinical thermometer is shorter than the laboratory thermometer. When compared to laboratory thermometer, the clinical thermometer is shorter than laboratory thermometer, and the laboratory thermometer is much longer than the clinical thermometer. And second one, the clinical thermometer is removed from body to read the temperature, and laboratory thermometer is read while its bulb is in close contact with the object. So what is the meaning there? Here the clinical thermometer is removed from body. For example, to measure the temperature of humans and animals, we have to measure the temperature in that humans and animals. After that we have to put in that mouth or whatever. After we remove the clinical thermometer to choose the to measure the temperature. But in laboratory thermometer, what is that? Now only we discuss that we have to take that any hot water or cold water, we have to take hot water, we have to apply some heat in that water, or we have to take that any cold water, we have to apply some heat in that water. Then what happened, we have to put in that laboratory thermometer in that water. The water, if water is heated means the thermometer temperature will be increases, if water will be decreases, the temperature will be decreases. And that is the difference in clinical and laboratory thermometer. And another one, the capillary of clinical thermometer have a nick just above its bulb. So why the bulb? It inside what will be the mercury. But in laboratory thermometer has straight capillary, so it is a straight. And the range of clinical thermometer is the range of clinical thermometer is 35 degrees Celsius to 42 degrees Celsius, and the laboratory thermometer is minus 10 degrees Celsius to minus 10 degrees Celsius to plus 110 degrees Celsius. And minus 10 degrees Celsius to plus 110 degrees Celsius. And the clinical thermometer is also used to measure body temperature of humans and animals. So now only we discuss the clinical thermometer is only measure the body temperature of humans and animals, and laboratory thermometer is to measure the temperature of chemical reactions and any laboratory process. So that is the difference between clinical and laboratory thermometer. And what is the clinical and laboratory thermometer? So that is the difference between clinical and laboratory thermometer. In the two thermometers, these are the two thermometers, and these are the two types of thermometers. I hope you all understood the difference between clinical thermometer and laboratory thermometer. Let us summarize. Measure the temperature of clinical and laboratory thermometer. And the hot body is at higher temperature than cold body, and the thermometer is used to measure the degree of heat in a body, and the clinical thermometer is used to measure our body temperature. And the range of clinical thermometer is 95 degrees Fahrenheit to 107.6 degrees Fahrenheit. And other purpose, the range of laboratory thermometers is minus 10 degrees Celsius to plus 10 degrees Celsius. And the normal temperature of human body is 98 degrees 0.6 Fahrenheit. So what we have to learn in this lesson, what is the clinical thermometer and what is the laboratory thermometer, and difference between clinical thermometer and laboratory thermometer, and difference between clinical thermometer and laboratory thermometer, how to measure the temperature in clinical thermometer and how to measure the temperature in laboratory thermometer. So children, do that. Once we have to observe that, so where we have to use the clinical thermometer and laboratory thermometer. I hope you all understood. In clinical thermometer, the doctors use the clinical thermometer, but in laboratory thermometer we measure the temperature of heat. We measure the temperature of hot water and cold water, and any chemical process, chemical reactions, we by use the laboratory thermometer. And what is the range of clinical thermometer? 95 degrees Fahrenheit to 107 degrees 0.6 Fahrenheit. And another purpose and other range of laboratory thermometer is minus 10 degrees Celsius to plus 110 degrees Celsius. And what is the normal temperature of human body is 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. So these only learned in this topic, and I hope you all understood about the clinical and laboratory thermometer. Hari Om. Thank you.